Hey everybody, welcome to another Cheltenham Focus. 4 weeks to go. Woo, can't wait. Things are really hotting up now. I think we've seen, in terms of the grading races, everything that we need to see. There's not too much more to come in these next few weeks before the festival. Horses will be getting rested and then building up their work in the next couple of weeks, I would suspect. Pick up a few results from the weekend that do have an effect on the Cheltenham Festival, and the first race was Chantry House, who won the Exchange Novice Hurdle at Newbury in the 1:15. Thought he was really impressive. I compared the finishing effort of his to the Betfair Hurdle won by Dary later on the card, and he was 3 seconds quicker from the final hurdle to the finish line than Dary was in the Betfair Hurdle. Now, the race overall was run at a slower pace on the first circuit than the Betfair Hurdle was, but the finishing effort was just simply sublime. He travelled really nicely into the race, as you would expect against the quality of opponents that he was facing, and he just powered clear. Really impressive. Now, I like two horses in this Supreme at the moment in terms of bets on the day. And for me, they are Chantry House and Shiskhin. Now, I'm hoping they get split up. I think Shiskhin is the one who will benefit from the step up in trip rather than Chantry House. Personally, that's what I feel. I think Chantry House's turn of foot could be deadly in the Supreme. But I compared the finishing efforts of Chantry House and then Shiskhin, who ran over the same course and distance a few weeks earlier. Now, you shouldn't really do that because of the ground differences, etc., this, that, and all the other factors, okay? You shouldn't really do that. That's clear. But I did it anyway. And Shiskhin was a second quicker from the final flight to the finish line than Chantry House was, and Shiskhin was running on heavy ground, good ground for Chantry House. So, Shiskhin, very smart horse. Chantry House, also a very smart horse. It'll be interesting to see which way the pair go, but they are both ones to keep on side. He beat a horse called Manvers House, Chantry did, the weekend. That horse keeps bumping into progressive rivals. I think he's well handicapped. I'll keep an eye on him. And Addis Ababa was making his hurdles debut. He was rated 90-something on the flat. It was a really nice performance, first time out over hurdles. So he's a horse to keep in your trackers later on in handicaps. Moving on, Altior won the Game Spirit Chase as we all expected at 1-3 on, beating So Royale, who had his favoured ground. Altior, right, people are clipping the video, clipping a part of the video where he jumped the first fence. Big and bold. Now, let me tell you something. From watching tons of racing, many horses jump the first fence, big, bold, and slightly skew with, and they warm into the race. Altior's no different. He did the same thing. Please do not believe when people clip that and say he can't win a champion chase on the back of that first jump at the first flight. It's absolute nonsense. So ignore that rubbish. He did the job really well. He always looks like he's going to get beaten under pressure, but then overdrive kicks in and he powers away. He's a really impressive horse. The fact that he can even make mistakes at his fences and continue to win at grade 2 or grade 1 level suggests that his engine underneath the bonnet is massive. Okay, now there's a lot of talk about when a horse can't jump well or when he can't do this. Listen, if a horse has produced a bad round of jumping and still won the race, that suggests that the horse has a massive engine underneath it. So if the horse is in second and third cannot beat that horse when that horse has made 8 or 9 mistakes at his fences over the circuit, then they've got no chance of beating the horse when he decides to put in a better round of jumping next time. So just keep that in mind. If a horse can continue to make mistakes and win a race, he's a pretty useful horse, providing that jumping improves. That is the key to it. Native River at the Altior, 2-1 favourite now, or 2-1 joint favourite for the champion chase at Cheltenham. I'm torn between him and Defi Dessau. They are very closely matched. Their finishing efforts at Cheltenham are very similar. Their finishing efforts when they both ran in the Tingle Creek a year apart are very similar. They are very hard to split. They really are. I like the pair. Native River won the Denman Chase in good style. I wasn't overly impressed, but he did it on good ground. The horse normally likes soft ground or cutting the ground. He's not beaten much But in terms of handicapping perspectives, keep an eye on Secret Investor, because if he gets good ground again, he's going to have a fantastic chance. His form figures on good ground read really well. I just think he falls short of a top-class horse, but that's just my opinion. Betfair Hurdle has no real effect on Cheltenham other than the handicap for handicap purposes. The winner pick Dary is probably going to get a little bit of a rise for that. Paul Nicholls talking about going chasing afterwards, so they're not entirely sure what they're going to do at Cheltenham. He's not entered in anything. He will need to be supplemented. I've seen people request a price for the Champion Hurdle. He has got no chance in even in the Champion Hurdle this week. He's got no chance. Ciel de News is interesting. Keep an eye out on the weight rises after this Betfair Hurdle, because it will be interesting. Ciel de News was up with a very strong pace for a long time, and was just beaten by 3/4 of a length. So looks a smart horse. He was off 135 there. I suspect he'll go up to 140, but he could still look well handicapped there. Elsewhere, Warwick the Kingmaker was won by Rouge Vif. Now, I thought Newbury Negra was going to win this race. I didn't put a selection up. He was too short for me. But Rouge Vif was really impressive. In terms of Cheltenham, in terms of the Arkle, I couldn't really have him. The first day is normally soft ground, good to soft in places at best. And Rouge Vif's form figures read extremely well on good ground or good to soft ground. I would suggest that he needs good in the going description to be at his best. He jumped well, travelled well, didn't really beat a lot in behind bar Newbury Negra, but he did it in quite impressive fashion. Now, Newbury Negra did not run up to form for me, made a fair few mistakes at his fences. He doesn't normally do that. So there might just be something wrong there. He might need a wind operation. The way he's finishing out his races is not as strong as what we once first thought. But I'm not convinced he is a great bet in the Arkle, Rouge Vif. You know where I stand with the Arkle, so we won't talk too much about that. But that's about it, really. Not a lot of action in terms of looking for Cheltenham Festival winners coming this weekend. It's going to be the same for the next few weeks, so I'm going to have a different look to the show next week. Try and do something different. I'd like to put some videos in here and talk through some jumping techniques and things like that, but it's difficult with the TV rights, etc. So we've got to go careful there. This week's handicap bet that we're going to put up for the Cheltenham Festival, as I mentioned, is actually going to be Jerry's back for the Ultima Handicap Chase. Now, I think this horse has been a bit of a plot job this season. If you take away his 2 runs that have come after breaks, he's never finished out of the first 3. If you look at that third as well, he was in the National Hunt 4-miler chase at Cheltenham last year when he finished 3rd behind Le Brawl. He's beaten 48 lengths, but throughout the race, he travelled like the best horse in the race. And he was hampered and almost came to a standstill by a falling horse in front of him. He got himself back into contention, up to 3 out. He was travelling the best, looking like the winner. Everything else was off the bridle. Jumped the 3rd last in 3 or 4 in the line, and then just completely blew up and didn't even get to 2 out. So the drop back to 3 miles from that run at Cheltenham is definitely going to suit him. He's completely unexposed over 3 miles. This is 3 mile 1 this race. I think he's very well handicapped off a mark of 144. He finished 2nd to Vindication, who is now rated 160. Ascot over 2 miles 5. He wants further. He wants the 3 miles. He beat McCarthy's Hill last year, or in 2018, sorry, at Bangor. Very cosily indeed over 2 miles 4. That horse is rated 144. There is so much bits and pieces of form that you can pick out for Jerry's back to suggest he's so well handicapped off a mark of 144. Now, he will get into this race. He's 20 to 1. I think this has probably been in the plan all season. His last run was at Ascot over 3 miles, finishing 3 lengths behind Regal Encore, who's got a fantastic record there. I didn't think he got the rub of the green that day. He really wasn't in the right racing position. He was being shuffled about all over the place. On the inside, on the outside, heavy ground where it was all churned up on the inside. It was tough for him to get a run. I think he was better than the bare result, and I think he's definitely got a win in him. So he's going to be the selection this week. Jerry's back at 20 to 1 with Unibet if you can get it. If not, it's 16 to 1. Elsewhere, we'll bet 365. So That's it. That's it for this week's show. Short, sharp episode. Like I say, I'm going to try something completely different next week. Hopefully, I can try and get some videos or something in here to make this a little bit more interesting for you. But thank you very much for your support. Thanks for listening. Go on racingtips.com. Look at all the content that's coming out. Previews of every single race I've got coming out. So keep an eye on those. Thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon.